like maybe I'm somewhere in New England in like a summer house and just like baking with my family and
He'll
really,
appreciate that, but he gets too much
yeah.
credit, so sometimes I have
Yeah.
to.
Hi everyone, my name is Vaishnavi and I'm the founder of khaa-lo, which is a marketing space for indie CPG brands to connect with small creators, regular people, and third places. We are on our fourth episode of This and Yap, and today we have Liv from FROST Buttercream. Liv, alongside with her mom, is making frost cream butter inspired by their great aunt's recipe. So, Liv, when I looked at your website, I already feel like such a homey vibe from the product. Like, this is something that was made with love. And all the birthday home videos, but also the fact that you're building something that is very technically complex with just 9 ingredients and also making it healthier. And one of the quotes that I've taken from your profile on khaa-lo, and it says, to enhance the magic of our celebrations, I, along with my mom, created an all-natural, irresistible buttercream frosting worthy of creating new memories. And this really, as a consumer, made me feel so connected with your product and like not just the product, honestly, like your guys' story as well. So, without further ado, Liv, I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
Awesome. Well, thank you. That means a lot. I'm Liv. I'm the founder of Frost Buttercream, as mentioned, and basically, I have grown up baking my whole life, and actually was in consumer investment baking, and baking was always my outlet. And so I kind of just wanted to be on the other side of companies after looking at a bunch of consumer companies and always kind of wondered, why has there been, minimal innovation in the frosting area? Everything out there, has, been made with palm oil, soy oils, coconut oils, and it kind of leaves like a greasy mouth taste just because the melting point of those oils is so much higher than your body temperature. And so I kind of looked into that and I was like, none of these have any real butter in them. Or if they do, it's not the main ingredient. They're all shelf stable, none of them are in their fridge. And so kind of just teamed up with my mom to kind of find the best formula that we could that was the most stable, tasted the best. And yeah, it only has 9 simple ingredients, and we like to think of it as real bakery quality frosting that you can get in a couple minutes at home.
Oh, that is so amazing. I'm so curious to just like talk more about your journey because you said you were in consumer investment banking. Um, and you said that you chose buttercream because truly there are not a lot of products like this out there. So tell us a little bit more about your journey because again, not a lot of people are doing this bakery item. There are not a lot of buttercream options in the grocery store, especially not gourmet ones. So, starting with how did you decide on buttercream to like challenges you faced, like any fun stuff that you want to share as you're building this
Totally.
product?
Yeah, so I guess, my mom and I have always had like totally different tastes for buttercream. Like I used to like really sweet, she would like not sweet at all. And so it was always kind of like a clash whenever we were baking. And so we never wanted to buy the store bought stuff just because it wasn't all natural. And again, it kind of left like a greasy taste. And so we spent a couple months just working through a ton of different formulas. Actually, I didn't even know how many types of buttercreams there were. So the most standard type of buttercream that people make at home is called an American buttercream. And so that has a ton of confectioner's sugar, butter, and then, some vanilla extract or salt. And so that one we typically make, it's the quickest to make, but it has so much sugar in it and it's so sweet. Um, so we basically started exploring a ton of different types of frostings. There's German and Italian and Swiss. And so we ended up going for more of like a meringue based frosting. So it has egg whites and it's a lot lighter and smoother, and the most stable. And so once we found a recipe and, after months of working through tons of different types and adding in different stuff, that we both loved, we were like, okay, we've got to do something with this. And so we have one vanilla flavor right now, and have a couple that we're working on that hopefully should be out relatively soon. And yeah, so we sent it out to extended family and friends, and everyone kind of loved it. And so I think from there we were like, we've got to do something. And it is a product that, because it has butter and egg whites and it is all natural, it is sold in the fridge or freezer. And so I think basically that requires some consumer education. People aren't used to going to the fridge to look for, a natural buttercream. But I think there are so many more products these days, even whether it's pasta or sauces that are now being sold in the fridge, just because consumers are looking for more natural products. And so, yeah, it's a niche product, but I kind of think there is a real problem that we're trying to solve with that. And so, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I so agree with this. Like, so something that you mentioned earlier, first of all, I also didn't know that there were so many different versions of buttercream.
No.
So, yeah, so I guess you learn something new every day. And I mean, I said this previously too, but just like going off of, like not having this product be so readily available. Like I think what I love about your guys's product is that you're very transparent about the ingredients, like your own journey. And a personal anecdote that like always comes to my mind is my brother loves frosting, and we would always get the store-bought one, but it was so unhealthy because preservatives, the amount of sugar in it, and honestly sometimes like like as kids, like our parents were like, we don't know what is going in that. So I
Totally.
think like the transparency that you guys have like makes, as a consumer, makes you feel closer to the product and the story. Um, and also this is such a like hard, like even if you love baking, making buttercream is such a technical job that I think like a lot of the times, like I remember again, like my brother tried to, and I think he was probably making the American style one because I remember it was a lot of egg whites, a lot of sugar, which kind of does beat the purpose of, like trying to make it healthier. But yeah, it was hard to get the consistency. Sometimes, like the temperature wouldn't be right with the egg whites. And like there were so many complications that I feel like it often like left baking projects in the midst. And like you would just end up going back to the only option that you were left with, and that was the store-bought one. Um, so I really do love that your product is giving this foundation of frosting for people to add to their baked goods. And I feel like you're not just selling buttercream, but also memories, which is super exciting. And yeah, I know you mentioned a little bit about like, some different flavors that you're testing. Tell us more about it if you can.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So we've kind of been working through more of a dulce de leche and also a chocolate. I think, a lot of people, they're either vanilla or chocolate. And so, that makes sense to kind of launch that next. But the dulce de leche kind of seems like, a more different flavor that's fun. And I feel like when you want a buttercream, you want something that, isn't, a higher quality dulce de leche that would maybe be from a bakery, tastes a little bit better than, you know, chemicals that you could get. So yeah, so that will be really exciting. And then, kind of see where it goes from there and get some consumer feedback. I think the biggest thing in developing these flavors is we want to keep the formula to be how you would make it at home. And so we don't want to add a ton of, natural flavors, which like you wouldn't necessarily know what's in there. And sure, there are natural flavors in a bunch of ingredients, and that's just how it is. But I think the biggest thing is keeping the recipe true to how we would make it as consumers at home, and getting that real taste and not just adding in a few other chemicals.
Yeah, first of all, I'm so excited about the dulce leche. Did I
It's
say that right?
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be good. I'm so excited.
Yeah, no, I'm too. Also, I feel like sometimes I talk so fast on the podcast. I remember last week we had the brown Bite Brownie guys, and their name is a tongue twister. So I
Oh
feel
yeah, they're awesome.
they are. This is a shout out to them. Um,
We love the brownies.
yes, we do. And with frosting.
Totally, it's even better.
Yeah, yeah. I'm so sad that I missed out on your guys' collab. I had so much FOMO. But see, this is, like this is a thing. Like this is such a versatile product. And like again, I feel like one of the things again that like looking from a consumer lens that I get from your guys' products so strongly is just like the memories, like I mean, I'm seeing your home videos from your birthday parties, like and it reminds me of my brother and I when we were younger, and like birthdays like with cousins and just like having a lot of fun. um, so and I love that you guys are trying to keep it as close to, how it is homemade. So, like again, because it is a perishable item, tell us a little bit more about, like some of the challenges you've faced maybe, and maybe like some of the wins.
Definitely. So I remember when we were kind of in the really early days of launching Frost, we reached out to a lot of founders and a lot of people just to kind of connect and hear from them because I think there's so much to learn from other people. And that's like what I've enjoyed most about this journey is just, it's, as everyone says, drinking from a fire hose, but there has just been so much information. And so hearing everyone's perspectives and journeys like has just been so fun and helpful. But so I remember people were saying, fridge and freezer is very hard, and so if you can get this to be a shelf stable item, definitely shoot for that. And so I think like we looked at that a little bit, but then we were back to square one where we couldn't use butter and we had to use oils, and so our whole differentiating factor was kind of turned upside down. And so I think we basically just kind of doubled down on what we were doing, and we have been really fortunate to work with Cornell Agritech, and so they have a lot of shelf life testing, which we've been able to do just because it is a product with butter and eggs, and we want to be especially safe for our consumer. And so we found that it actually can be out at room temperature for a number of days, which is great because it helps us ship it. And so it, unlike ice cream where maybe it has to arrive completely frozen as soon as possible, we still do 1 max 2 day shipping, but it's fine if it arrives not frozen. And so I think that is huge. I think it is a challenge in itself because even when you are doing 1 or 2 day shipping, it's expensive for the consumer. And we've had people reach out and say like, it's crazy to pay this much, for shipping. And we're like, we are so sorry. Like, we don't want you to have to pay that. And so I think getting into more stores locally and kind of, around the country and other states, hopefully soon, will help with getting people more easier access to it. But again, like being in the fridge or freezer, I'm sure is like anyone will tell you is extremely competitive. I mean, it's all competitive, but like those especially. And so I think we're kind of working on finding ways that we can really do some more grassroots marketing and kind of, hit the ground running so we can get more people to try it out. Because we think it's the kind of product that, like, everything out there tastes pretty similar that's a frosting. And so, this is something we feel really confident tastes really great. And so, if we can get it in more people's mouths, I think that'll kind of help, overcome some of these challenges of just being in a really competitive space.
Oh, that is, I mean, like I so get what you're saying about perishable items. Like obviously we have been working with a lot of different CPG brands, and um I remember there was one event that was being sponsored by a brand, and they asked like, should we drop off the products or should we ship it? And we were like, like you're in the same city, just like go ahead and ship it. And you don't anticipate any problems. And I remember, I think it was like Labor Day weekend or something, And because of that, the shipping actually got delayed.
Oh
And
no.
just, yeah, and obviously, like the products, they went bad. So I think like CPG in itself, like it's a very competitive market, but like
Really.
I see what you're saying about like a perishable item, but I also love that, like it's almost like you guys have found a middle ground that, like your product can stay stable for at least like 2 days. And I think
Okay.
like that just like buys you guys more time.
Totally.
And also just like helps you expand more. So I'm
Yeah,
honestly, yeah. And I'm so excited for the new flavors because I feel like dulce leche, like I don't think I've ever had it in frosting, to be honest.
wow.
So
Well, I'm excited for you
yeah,
to try it out then.
yes, yes, I'm excited too. So, okay, Liv, I know you said you're building this with your mom. This was your great aunt's recipe. And again, just like going back to like your khaa-lo profile, your website, your socials, like it just feels so family oriented. And like, it just, again, it reminds me of my own family memories. Um, so let's talk family business. How is it like building a family business? And what is maybe some advice you can give to others who are maybe starting a business, with their family members?
Definitely. So, I think family businesses are awesome, and I am so lucky and fortunate to have, such a supportive mom and brothers and dad. And, honestly, we have tried to keep like a lot of our spending to be as low as possible. And so, especially like in the early days. And so, my two older brothers are in the film industry, and so I'm constantly like, hey, can you guys help make me a video? Or like, one of them has been really great in helping us with our packaging. So, I think like I'm so fortunate to both of them. But basically, a lot of people have been, super complimentary of our packaging, and I'm always like, that's my brother. Like, that wasn't me. And so again, I'm just so lucky to have access to such talented people. I think, working with my mom has been awesome. She was the person I kind of learned to bake with. And I think like for both of us, we always saw it as our outlet. So whenever,
That is so precious.
definitely. And so it's just kind of like whenever we were having a long day or whenever it was someone's birthday, we would be like, let's just go to the kitchen, let's bake something. And then, it's that treat that like goes on the table whenever you're having dessert or it's someone's birthday or you're celebrating something or it's a holiday. And that's kind of what brings people together. And I know everyone always says, yeah, food connects people, food really brings people together. But seeing it real firsthand as like a new brand that is launching something where we are trying to connect people, and the dessert is like the photo moment. And so I kind of think that like, I don't know, it's just been really special to be able to do it with family. And obviously like it's a lot of time, being with family, and like it's, you got to figure out how to separate, your professional life from just being at home. But if anything, I think, we kind of have a leg up because we know how each other works. And, we've been around each other long enough to kind of understand like the boundaries and, how we work and operate. And so I think that like that has been awesome. Um, yeah, so I can like, it honestly been a dream come true, and I'm so fortunate.
Oh, that is amazing. Just like also, like I feel so grateful that to have moms who are supportive.
Totally.
Yeah, because I think like for me, khaa-lo, the phrase in Hindi means to eat, and that came from something my mom, always said to my brother and I, and it
I
was
love
just kind of
it.
like yeah, and it was etched in my memory, and so when this whole concept was coming together, and we were like, oh, want to connect people over the love of food, how are we going to do that? What are we going to call it? And it just, I mean, like it just came so naturally. And I think like one of the perks, like you said, about working with family is really like being able to understand each other's emotions. Obviously, like, um, sometimes, like, maybe you have to sit back and like really learn to communicate. But I truly do
Totally.
think, like, again, like, with your product, I mean, your branding is, and like, shout out to your brother too, because the package really is like, packaging is really beautiful. It's just like it makes me think that, like, maybe I'm somewhere in New England in like a summer house and just like baking with my family, and like, I don't know, like, I feel like a lot, again, like, a lot of brands have good branding, but your branding, it has been just like so consistent and so strong. um
Well, thank
so
you.
I'm
He'll
really,
appreciate
yeah,
that, but he gets too much
yeah,
credit, so sometimes I have
yeah.
to keep him humble.
Spoken like a true sibling.
Exactly.
No, but I'm so excited for you guys to, like, bring out your flavors in the next couple of months. Um, and so what is something, other than the flavors, that that the audience can expect from you guys in the next couple of months or so?
So I think we have some plans to, we'll see how it goes, and we'll obviously do some testing and stuff, but we would
Mhm.
love to dive more into a complete product. Something, we want to be a brand that focuses completely on the frosting. We are Frost Buttercream. But once we, launch more flavors, and once we kind of get more known and have more brand awareness, and more people try our frosting, then I think we will dive more into a complete product where either it's a bite, or some sort of, maybe cupcake or dip or something like that. And so we've got a few different ideas that every day we rabbit hole down as a true founder, during, every day just constantly going down different holes. But we think it's something we're really excited about, and a lot of people honestly have been asking us for it. And so I think, these days consumers want convenience. And so
Yes.
I think getting something to be even more convenient of a final product would be, definitely one of our goals coming up.
Oh, that's amazing. And that is so exciting too. Okay, as we tail towards the end of our podcast, just like, going off of the snippets that you gave us, this is like kind of like a rapid fire. Um, so if you could describe your journey as a founder in 3 to 4 sentences, how would you describe it?
I would say I am so fortunate to have had every day, because I have learned so insanely much. Um, and I'm excited for what's to come. But there are highs and lows, even in the earliest days. And so, I've learned so much about myself in that process. And so I think it's been an incredible journey so far.
Oh, that is amazing. That is also so inspirational. I love that.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay. So, one goal that you have achieved and one goal that you want to achieve in like the next 3 months.
So one we just achieved was we'll be expanding into Butterfield Market in New York City, and so that has been, one of our dream retailers,
Let's
because
go.
yeah, because they just seem like incredible people to work with, and have just the most amazing store that I grew up going to, and so to see our product on those shelves is truly just a crazy feeling. And so I think something that I'm looking forward to achieving, definitely just getting more flavors out there. Like, we have the one vanilla, and we like to encourage people to mix in other flavors with it, like whether that's cookies and cream, throwing in Oreos and stuff. But having another, like, final, finished chocolate or something like that would be awesome.
Well, I know I'm really looking forward to the chocolate and the dulce leche flavors in the next coming up months. I'm really excited to just, like, follow through your journey and see what's coming up next. And we'll also leave a link to your guys' Instagram in our bio.
Awesome.
So, yeah, so that more people can follow you on your journey. And Liv, thank you so much for coming on this podcast today. This was truly like, I love your energy. I love the product that you're building, the story. And I'm so excited for other people to try it as well. Do you have any parting wisdom as a founder that you want to leave the audience with?
Um, I would say that, any journey is hard, whether you're working a 9 to 5 or any job at all. It's always going to be work, but finding something that you truly love to do. And, you know, I was in investment banking where I worked all hours, and now I feel like I'm working just as many hours, but I'm really happy about it. And every day I wake up, and sure, there are problems, and sure, there are setbacks, and it's one step forward, 10 steps backwards. It's, definitely hard, but I think, just learning so much and meeting these amazing other founders who have such cool products and brands, and people like you, it's incredible. It's a really fun community of people, to be able to meet and make new friends. And so I think just, work is work, but find something that you love to do, because you'll feel so much more fulfilled.
Oh, yeah, and I could not agree with everything you just said. I think like again, we have very similar stories like 9 to 5 and then like I think like both of our journeys as founders started as a creative outlet and I think like that is one of the greatest blessings to be able to have that and again like I'm super excited to like just like learn more about different CPG founders like yourself and like I always think about it like I would like I'm so grateful for this chance so I'm as we're tailing towards the end I'm super excited to see what Frost Buttercream does and for you to share it with the world and be at Butterfield, which also is so exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Also, we love what you're doing. You're just making it
Thank
easier
you.
for all of us brands and creators, and something that's so important these days, especially in a world
Thank
that,
you.
where social media is so big. So thank you for doing that, and thanks for
Of
having me on here.
course. Yeah, of course. Thank you so much, Liv, for joining us. You can follow Liv's journey building Frost Buttercream. We'll leave their Instagram and the link in our bio, and we'll see you around.
Awesome. Thank you.